Hello, welcome to the course. I'm going to start with a story. I think it was about 20 years ago that I was hiking in the mountains with a few really close friends, and it was really far away. I think we were 5 or 6 hours away from the closest city or village. And there was no phone reception, okay? Now, it was in the evening, and suddenly one of the guys got really sick. We were panicked a little bit. We didn't know what to do, and he was laying down, and one of the friends suggested that we start measuring his heart rate every 30 minutes and write it down. Of course, that makes sense. We started doing that, and after a few hours, I asked that friend, what are we going to do with these numbers? What is the accepted range? What happens if it's lower than that? What should we do if it's higher than that? And then he replied, I don't know. I just know that it's important to measure heart rate. That is what happens in many projects, really. We are doing a lot of things and we don't really know why we are doing that. We just do that because it is generally accepted as something that we need in the projects. So as long as we do it like that, then it won't serve any purpose. It won't help us. We are just wasting our time. That's one problem. We are wasting our time. And the other problem is that it gives us the illusion of control, which is dangerous. If we don't do anything, at least we know that we're not doing anything and we may have to look for something useful to do. But in that case, so that's a very bad idea to do. The first and most important thing for all of us is to have a purpose for everything that we are doing in the project. We should understand why we are doing those things and what we're going to do with the outputs. And if you think about, for example, time, the duration of the project, there are different elements when we want to manage time. Those elements don't have a real meaning which is necessary for the purpose unless you connect them with other things such as cost and quality. For example, you can always easily spend a lot of money in your project and deliver it shorter. That's a relationship between cost and time. Or you can lower quality and deliver it earlier. That's the relationship between quality and time. If you don't consider any of those relationships and imagine that you're only focused on time, then you can't even manage time. That's an illusion. It won't have meaning and it won't have purpose. So, if you consider different elements that we have in project management, there's a lot of relationships among those elements. And the idea that we have in project management, in any appropriate project management system, is that we need to consider those relationships. And when we do that, we have a name for it. This is the concept of integration. We are integrating all the elements of the system. So on one hand, we are separating those elements because we want to be conscious about them and we want to study them and learn how to manage them. And on the other hand, we consider the relationships in order to make it useful and effective. And I'm telling you this because, can you guess? Yeah. That's the main thing about the PMBOK guide. PMBOK guide is mainly and primarily about integrating project management activities. That's what makes them effective. On the other hand, I see that many people learn the PMBOK guide and at the end they say, okay, I understand the PMBOK guide probably, but I don't know what to do in my project. Tomorrow I'm going back to work and I don't know how to use the PMBOK guide. And that's relatively true. That's because everything you learn in the PMBOK guide is about integrating and about making things effective. It doesn't give you a step-by-step approach to your project. And what most people are looking for is a step-by-step approach to the project. That's not the goal of the PMBOK guide. That's what you can get from a methodology, for example, Prince2. All right? Okay, so let's imagine that you've been appointed as the project manager. Congratulations. And now it's your first day. And you know that this project has to be delivered as soon as possible, preferably yesterday. Now, what is the first thing that you would do in your project? Think of it like this. You want to go somewhere, you want to drive somewhere, and it's a new place. And you're too late. Would you spend time setting your GPS navigation before you start driving? I think the wise answer is yes. Because first of all, most of us don't know all the streets well, at least. I'm terrible, but I know that. Alright, let's forget about that part. At least we don't know the exact situation when it comes to traffic. Alright? So, if you want to go through the fastest possible path to your destination, the best way is to set your GPS navigation. It will take you some time in the beginning, but it will give you back that time, much more than that. And that's what we need to do in our projects as well. We need to set our GPS navigation in the beginning before we want to start driving. And that setting is our planning and the driving is execution. So the idea is that we plan first and then execute. And one more thing, when we talk about planning, most people think about scheduling, which we will talk about all these words in detail throughout the course. But what you need to know is that planning is not a scheduling. Scheduling is only one small part of planning. Planning is much more than that. All right? So, before I tell you everything, please spend some time and think about it. Think about the most important thing that you need to do in the beginning of the project before everything else. And we will talk about it in the next lesson.